We are horrified by the continued unlawful detention of Dr. Hussam Abu Safiya. He is a paediatrician and former medical director of the now destroyed Kamal Adwan Hospital in the northern Gaza Strip. Between October and December 2024, the hospital was under siege by the Israeli genocidal forces and sustained daily attacks. For over 80 days, Dr. Hussam pleaded for assistance from the international community via social media as the hospital was repeatedly bombed with vital infrastructure such as operating theatres, laboratories and oxygen stores destroyed. During the siege, Dr. Hussam's child Ibrahim was murdered by a quadcopter, and Dr. Hussam himself sustained serious leg injury from shrapnel. Undeterred by warnings to evacuate the hospital, Dr. Hussam, accompanied by his staff, remained and continued to care for their patients who were too sick to be moved. Continuing on his daily rounds, visiting patients and displaced civilians sheltering at the hospital, offering hope where there was none. Dr. Hussam is the embodiment of a true humanitarian, a courageous and selfless individual caring for his community, for his people, trying everything in his power to secure a humanitarian corridor to ensure safe passage for his patients. He pleaded to those in power to uphold international and humanitarian law, which purports to protect hospitals and healthcare workers. But no help arrived. On the 27th of December, the Israeli forces stormed the hospital, forcibly removing staff and patients and totally destroying the hospital. This is a war crime. Dr. Hussam Abu Safiya was abducted by the Israeli forces. The last image captured of him in his white doctor's coat, making his way from the hospital through the rubble towards Israeli tanks with guns aimed at him. He was later reported to be held at Sidi Timan, a notorious military detention centre, and then Offer prison. Nobody actually knows where he is or if he is even still alive. On Wednesday, an Israeli court extended his detention without charges until February 13th and access to legal counsel until January 22nd. In a statement, Al-Mezan Centre for Human Rights expressed its concern for Dr. Abu Safiya's safety and well-being, gravely fearing that he may be subjected to severe torture, retaliation, or other forms of coercion, particularly given the ongoing deliberate denial of access to a lawyer. They then go on to say that the arbitrary detention of Dr. Abu Safiya and his colleagues is part of a broader pattern of systematic violations by Israel aimed at deliberate devastation of Gaza's healthcare system. This intentional policy includes relentless military attacks targeting healthcare facilities and personnel, sieges and raids on hospitals, and the abduction of dozens of medical staff. Tragically, Dr. Hussam's mother died of a heart attack this week as Israel refused to provide updates on his condition. It is reported that she died of severe sadness. I also want to mention Dr. Thabat Salim, a young and skilled neonatologist who was murdered by Israel on Monday, along with over 1,100 other healthcare workers who have been murdered during this genocide. Targeting healthcare workers and healthcare facilities is a war crime, and Israel is in total contravention of international law. The Irish Healthcare Workers for Palestine call on our government to sanction Israel now. How can we continue to do business with a genocidal state who are in clear breach of international and humanitarian law? Let's not cower to the fearmongering of Fine Gael MEP Regina Doherty, who this week warned of retaliation from the US and Israel if we enact the Occupied Territories Bill. Let's hold our elected officials to account in keeping their pre-election promises of enacting this crucial bill. As citizens and consumers, we all have our part to play. Teva Pharmaceuticals are an Israeli company and the largest supplier of generic medications to the Irish market. The healthcare workers are advocating for a boycott of Teva. You can request your doctor or pharmacist to provide you with an alternative where possible. However, if an alternative cannot be sourced, Please continue to take your prescribed medications. Thank you. Free Palestine.